park a Suburban, you can park a winged Mazda.
If
Basically.
you can dodge a wrench, you can. Never mind. Main topic time. Does anyone want to intro this, or should I?
It's
You
story time
always do
again. Okay, yeah.
No,
No,
more
it's okay,
mental. Go for it.
Go
All
for
right.
it.
It's story time, folks. And we a few weeks ago, we talked about our favorite moments on track, those ones that inspire us. And we need those moments to get us through these moments that we're going to talk about right now. You know, that time you really didn't drive well, or maybe you put your nose into someplace you shouldn't and bent up the race car, the time the car let you down, the time that the off-track problems suddenly made themselves on-track problems, that time you completely lost the race or lost your shit in a paddock. This isn't for making fun of us, but you are welcome to do so. But it is also what we learned in these negative situations.
It's great.
Learn from our mistakes, folks. We've made lots.
So should
Which-
we round robin this? Everybody tell a story, and then we'll come
Yeah.
back and see who's got a second story.
Sounds good.
All right. Who wants to go first? Want me to go first?
Sure, you're
Sure.
eager. Go for
You're
it.
that excited.
I
Let's
am.
hear
I
it.
am eager because I think when I was thinking back, a lot of my stories had a theme, and it was about when I didn't feel right in the car. And I don't mean like my driving was bad. Like that's something I can fix. It's when something was happening that made it impossible for me to really stay on task and keep driving. The first one's like a I wouldn't say a consistent problem, but something that I had frequently. So it's not like it happened one time. But earlier in our racing, when my level of fitness wasn't as good as it is today, and I didn't pay attention to my body's needs as well, and I would get really nasty leg cramps during shifts, sometimes in the beginning, sometimes in the end, and it was painful. Um, yeah, so we're talking like boat years is when it would happen a lot in the older Civic, and I think it had something to do with like the way the seat was, because the seat was very uncomfortable, and where like you didn't really have the ability to brace yourself on a dead pedal. That's why dead pedals are important. So like the use of the right leg, the throttle leg, would just be very important, and then all of a sudden in the middle of a shift, the inside of my thigh would start cramping like you wouldn't believe, and it hurt a lot, and it would break my concentration, and it would make it driving difficult, and I would like try and like rub my leg to try and stop from cramping, and just like it would just tie itself in a knot. And once it happened once in a weekend, like it was liable to come back. Like there was no amount of hydrating I could do the second day to
You
make it
need
not
enough
come back.
bananas.
I needed bananas, exactly.
Needed
My
bananas.
wife won't let me bring bananas. It's been a while since this happened. It hasn't really been a thing lately. I'm hydrating better. I'm doing like really good stretching. But I used to like literally get in the hot tub and be like, I can't move my leg. And it was terrible. And it sucked. Mental, you got a question before I give my advice on this one?
No, finish your point.
Okay.
Sorry.
So drink lots of water, people. I have a strict stretching routine that I use every time I work out and before I get in the car. And I think it has but hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. That's the key, because I'm pretty sure it was lack of hydration and lack of driver comfort, because the boat was not a comfortable seat. And I think that was causing part of the problem. And Chris, I'm glad you're back to hear this, not having a dead pedal, because I think I was using my leg to brace myself.
I have a dead pedal for the new Civic sitting on the workbench waiting till the interior is painted
Makes
that I
sense.
took out of a junkyard car just to satisfy y'all.
Thank you. Mental had a question. I'm sorry, man.
Well, I think a lot of this, like, we dabbled in fitness, but I think one of our big kind of pushes was when we K-swapped the Godzilla, and we're like, oh crap, this car is fast. We should probably, like we actually started, maybe I shouldn't have this next beer because I'm taking the first shift tomorrow, and maybe I should eat a little healthier, and because we were strapping ourselves into a very fast car, and three of us on the screen started paying attention to our fitness at that point of, you know, I mean, was that your turning point, or you just got tired of, because I think that was a big one for me. And it's not like I was out of shape, but it's like the first time I took that Civic down the straight at New Jersey, I'm like, I can't get into
You're
this
going
car
close to
half-assed.
130. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
get into
yeah.
this car half-assed anymore. I mean, this is you better
It
snap too.
definitely was taking the driving more seriously because we started getting better and better. Like it was less of a joke, and that made me get more serious. It made me start thinking about things. I mean, I remember like pouring out the moonshine saying, look, I'm making the race team faster, and us having some serious conversations about like, so what are we doing here, everyone? Are we partying with a little racing on the side, or are we racing with a little partying on the side? And I was not drinking much. I never was really. I mean, sometimes I do, but like I am not the heavy alcohol guy. I was not getting drunk. I don't think I was dehydrating because of lack of
Oh
because of too
no,
much
but like
alcohol.
it's the same thing. You
Just
weren't
wasn't paying
thinking
attention.
right. You know, like
Yep.
no, you'd have like a beer or something, but you drink 3 purple drinks, and then you know
Still
eat nothing but
drinking.
Wawa, you know, on the way there. Get an hour's worth of sleep and wake up the next day and you know crack open another purple drink.
Honestly, I would wrench and not even think about making sure to stay hydrated. Like, because that's what I was doing. I was wrenching all night. I wasn't drinking all night.
Yeah.
So,
A purple drink, by the way, is it's just basically caffeine and Mountain Dew.
yeah, buddy. Love my purple drink.
Purple
Chris
drink.
is
It's an A in there.
hydrate, urinate, dominate. I'm caffeinate, urinate, dominate.
And he doesn't
Anyway.
specify what he hydrates with. If it's a liquid
True.
and it's alcohol.
Yeah.
No, but there it is.
Not before the car.
Some
Yeah.
of my worst shifts were me driving with one hand and one hand on my leg, trying to get my leg to function again, and it was terrible. And I am, knock on wood, I don't want to go back there, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure I don't.
It's so crazy because that takes so much thought away from all the other thought that you're supposed to be doing when you're racing.
Mm-hmm. You
Mhm.
can't get into flow state when you're disturbed.
You can't even drive a car like with thinking about how bad your leg hurts, and they hurt so much. I get them. Completely understand. They're awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, who else got a story? Round robin. Chrissy, you want to go? You're like next on my screen.
Sure.
Clockwise.
Yes. So I have listed on here the years that I've lost in the paddock. I lost a lot in the paddock because I, for a long time, was making sure that I was a drinking team with racing happening. So I finally probably when we started going fast, and I said, all right, well, maybe I should probably not drink so much, especially when I start on Saturdays. I barely drink anything on Friday nights. So I turned it around, realized it, but there are plenty of times where I was not so sober at all, and that did not help me on track at all. So
do you remember like being affected for your driving, or like,
yeah,
because
oh,
you've never missed a shift, I don't think. We've had other people literally
no.
pass out in the RV and be like, no, I'm not driving today.
No,
After
I
making
usually-
breakfast, usually. But
Yeah. I know I've gotten in and I've been like, I'm not really sure I'm totally sober. So I'm
at least
not
you're
going
dusty the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going very fast. Just not really having, I'm like, I have to psych myself up. You can do it. You're supposed to be racing. And you're like, but I really shouldn't have. And some of that truthfully is going to bed too late. So and then when I get to bed, I don't sleep so well because I sleep on a half couch listening
It's
to
an
somebody
RV
dying
there's a
next to me.
snoring asshole like 2
Right?
feet away.
No, then not snoring all the way. You're dying too. So
Yes.
there's that. So I just don't sleep well. And then when we go to bed at 3 a.m. and then I get up at 7, I'm just, like that's part of the, am I hungover or am I really just feeling terrible because I race weekend?
Yeah,
Bring
lack of
headphones,
sleep
Chrissy. That's the secret. That's the secret to the Wakeman's RV. Bring headphones.
Oh no, I mean I wear earplugs.
He wears
but
earplugs.
when
usually.
it doesn't really matter when you.
Lack of sleep is a real thing because I would stay up late wrenching on other people's cars.
Yep.
Like not even ours, and I don't do that anymore.
Or
I
sometimes
still
you
help
just stand
people,
stand around, laugh at the drunk people. Like
yeah.
sometimes you just stay up late and you're like, oh, we're going to bed. Okay, it's midnight. Okay, at
40%
1:00.
cold, 80% party.
That's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
happens, right? And then you go to bed and you miss stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll stop there.
I think it's fantastic. I totally get it. Yep.
That's why we come home
if
with
we
race
go
hangovers.
clockwise, Chris, you're up.
All right. This is recent. I historically am a very clean driver. I don't hit anything. I don't put a wheel off. I don't pass under yellow. I don't do any of that. I think my total lifetime black flags could be counted on two hands. That's it. Except last race at Pitt, I had 2 flags in one shift. And I don't know what was wrong with me. I felt fine. It was the afternoon. There was no problems. And I had 2 wheels off and I passed under yellow. I couldn't believe it. This doesn't happen to me. I'm very upset. This is more flags than I've had in entire seasons within one shift. Yes, Mental.
Didn't you get 2 at New Hampshire?
No, it was 1.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it was my fault because I drove off once and everyone was so upset that I did that. Because
But that was
New
fun.
Hampshire, I took a different line. I I ended up going a lot faster than I expected, and then I realized I'm gonna hit that ditch right next to the curbs. It's in a couple of spots in New Hampshire.
One
I said,
that
I'm
you
gonna
tell
hit that.
everybody not
like
hit.
11,
Right.
12
Right.
area.
Yeah.
Like,
So I said, nope. So I bailed completely into the grass to not hit that ditch.
I've
Yeah.
never been so scared
Good
of
move.
Chrissy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's this time at Pitt. I shouldn't have done either one of those things. I am convinced there was oil on the track for the spin. That wasn't a spin. It was, I got halfway around, but gathered it up and it was okay because it never happened again, never happened before in all the laps at that track, only this once. But still, that I felt terrible. It's bad.
Who was the judge that got you for that one? Who
Chrissy.
Eric's like here. He's like, I'm not even gonna say anything.
And it is funny because I've judged races, but there are teams that I'm not handling this. Let's just, out here on the West Coast, it's zoom, zoom, kaboom, nope. I'm going to let them yell at their own people because it's way worse than what we're going to do.
Yep. Shame.
Shame.
Yep, pretty
Shame.
much.
Yeah, I get it. Chris, do you know, was there something that caused it? Because Chrissy and I both talked about like our personal issues that got in the way of the driving. Do you just the moons aligned and you had 2 bad luck moments, or do you think you were out of your head?
I think I was out of my head the second one. I was frustrated in a pack of cars and more concerned with where I was in that pack of cars than watching the flag stations as much. If I had been looking eyes up, I think I would have caught it better. I was in a pack that had to settle out to get to single file.
I get it.
I should have been eyes up a little bit more to get ahead of that problem instead of just being frustrated by the pack I was in.
That happens. I'll find myself getting frustrated in a pack and then just remind myself, this is the flow, man. Go with the Zen thing. Now the frustrated in a pack is a very real thing, especially, and my little mantra is always, because it's usually like a very slow car overtaking a slightly less slow car, or vice versa, and you've got the first, second, and third car all over your bumper right now, and you've got to get around this thing. And it's just, I verbalize, they paid their money, man. They paid their money. Let them race.
It was just a lot easier when I had a car that could pass anything in the whole field by stepping on the gas.
And you do get spoiled.
You totally do. And now with the mod, like I got to work at it with the mod. Say, it'll go, but it's going to take a couple corners to get the speed up to do the thing, or I got to outbrake somebody, which you can outbrake almost anything. But still, I got to be in a spot to do that safely where they actually see me, where it's going to be a safe pass that way. And it just,
and clear your mirrors and everything, because you don't want to hold anybody else up.
You got to do everything right in a
right. And I just got so spoiled by having one of the fastest cars on track to pass anything that that's why I think I was frustrated that time and not having my eyes up as much as I should have. Yep.
There you go. That's advice everyone can use.
Yeah, I like that. All right.
Mental.
All right,
your turn.
Mental, you're up.
I got to scroll back up for this one.
It's your story. You can-
Yeah. Chris and Chrissy, you guys were there for this. We did the NCA one. It wasn't the first race at NCA, but it was one of the first Lemons races at National Corvette Museum. And Hamza brought the BMW. We actually had I felt like it was a pretty good theme. We had dug up an obscure Phil reference and some sci-fi stuff. And I was towards the end of a very frustrating racing period where I didn't finish a race for almost 2 years. Every car, everything I kept getting into kept breaking, and cars that didn't break would break. And I just had this huge black cloud. And this was the infamous Iceman Chris incident where wheel fell off. I'm coming to a stop. And on this, and I just was so moody after that. And you two were needling me about that one pretty hard. And finally it was like a fuse popped in my brain because we were having to load the car onto the trailer, but we couldn't do it because the wheel had fallen off. And I think, I had to use the RV to pull it sideways onto the trailer while it was hooked to the truck. And I got to actually use the phrase, hold my beer. I'll go handle this. And then I just started giggling in the RV because I got to do this. And it was just one of those, and you both had said it 100 times over the weekend. It just wasn't getting through my thick skull. And it was just, remember why we do this. And I can fall into that state on occasion. I can find myself start getting just overly competitive, or I get really mad, or I get really frustrated. And I will hear your voices of, it's friendly. It's, racing with friends kind of a deal. And so I'll force my brain back into that state of, seriously, how serious are you right now? Because you're rolling up on a car that has a giant aardvark bolted to its roof. Are you
I'd like
really
to see the Aardvark theme. More Aardvark themes, everybody.
That would be good.
right? It's but you just have to kind of, and even at like the Champcar, AEW, or I'm sorry, AEW, AER, WRL, there's hardcore racing machinery out there. You'll still see something just so absurd. When I did the 25 hours of Thunderhill, it was pouring down rain, and I've run against them since then, but it's a team called Team Funduro, and they have this speedster looking endurance car, and it was pouring down rain, and I rolled up on them like, oh, those poor guys. And it's just, find the funny thing, or the thing that makes you smile on the track, and put your brain back into that state. You didn't hop on a plane, fly across the country, throw on, a quilt in the baking sun, strap into a noisy race car to be a world champion. Not if you're listening to this podcast, not on that. And even if you are a competitive champion, if you're doing one of these amateur races, you need to remember why you're there. And if you're not there to have fun, you need to go find another series. And so I recognize my personality tendencies, and just, force myself back into the, oh, Jesus, this is ridiculous, and start laughing about it in the car.
Yeah, I like that. Chrissy and I have definitely talked about the pressures of trying to win.
which is why Chris doesn't have one of the fastest cars anymore. Oh man, this sucked. Let's go back to B class.
No, that's
no,
why
we're
he's
just-
building
that's
that
why
in the
we're building
garage.
it again.
And
So we
that's-
want to win, but
yes,
there was a loss of fun.
Yeah.
That
For
happened
years.
Well, I mean, it didn't help that it took us years to do the win.
Sure, but that's why. I mean, like, it was a loss of fun for years because there was so much pressure.
Yeah.
On
How many turbo engines did you build, Chris, that year?
Oh,
Yeah. And I remember helping you with one of them. And I mean, this was tedium,
Yeah.
Mhm.
bolt, check measurements, unbolt, replace part, check
how much
tolerances, unbolt.
Dremel? How much Dremel?
How many
did you
cylinder
go
heads did I
through?
port?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Poor.
many, and then the frustration after messing something up, or what is going, and then looking at what all the work that you did. So yeah, there were many years that
That's why we went to a stock motor that makes
Right.
more power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
blows
more
up.
work.
We go get another one.
It was work, but it was different work. But it was
I think our expectations are part of this. You know, if mental it was arriving and driving with a lot of people, a lot of different people, and probably they had different expectations, including us. I mean, we don't always have the same expectation every weekend. So you know, if the expectation in a fast car is to compete to win and you're close, it's depressing. If you're bringing a piece of junk or a Citroën or a Rolls Royce, you expect it to break. So I think you get less frustrated fixing something.
how
you
many
expected to
years
break.
were you frustrated about why a Citroen would not work?
All of
There-
these years. that
All
they
the years.
It's
So
like,
1.5
uh,
yeah.
up to,
That's why
but
the Mazda is the happy medium. It's just like it's not
absolutely.
going to win anything, so you're not
Yeah,
really
yeah.
trying, and it's just a plucky, fun little, fairly reliable
And
car.
you
And
can
just
really
okay.
surprise people with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
already have.
yeah, absolutely. All right, I guess that's back to me, right?
Sure.
This is a not so funny one, and this is one that haunts my nightmares. Maybe I'll say. It was when we were trying to win in the Civic, and I was dutifully doing my shift and working hard and making all my corners and you know trying to stay in my flow state. And all of a sudden, something happened down in my crotchal area. All of my stories have to do with like my lap. It's not really fun, but all of a sudden my belts got loose. And I remember like oh hey something's wrong there, you know, did the seat undo, did what happened, and like reaching down and realizing that one of the lap belts popped out of the buckle. We use 5-point racing harnesses or 6-point racing harnesses depending on, you know, 5 go into the buckle, but never mind. But one hip basically had come undone from the buckle, and it was like, what the hell is going on? And you know, for momentarily took me out of the racing, and I like, you know, had to like grope with my hand and find the belts and remate them, which is not an easy process while you're still trying to drive and make laps, you know, and then like suck in your gut a lot to try and give it some room so you can clip it in, because clipping in with one hand is not very easy. Get it to click in, and then like 6 laps later it pops out again. And like literally sitting there going, I'm trying to win this race, but I'm not trying to die. I'm trying to win this race, but I'm not trying to die. And I think I got it clicked in the second time, and it ended up lasting the rest of the shift. But, you know, like I got back and I reported, like, there's something wrong with the belts. There's something wrong with the belts. I'm pretty sure we sent them back to get recertified, and it has never happened again. And I don't know to this day whether there was something wrong with the buckle, there was something worn, there was something dirty, or it was just like, you know, like some of my racing suit was getting caught in there. But the not feeling safe in the car immediately ruined any chance I had of taking any chances or doing anything that looked like racing driving. And like I said, it keeps me up at night. Like, oh my God, what if I'm there and something is, and you're buckled in 90% of the way. So you can't use your hands. You can't reach, you can't readjust your body.
But you manage to text every once in a while on the iPad. If
I
you
do
lift your
not
finger.
text on the iPad. I lick my glove and I unlock it to turn it back on.
Just kidding.
No, but that was probably the only time I've ever been afraid in a race car. I have had moments where I went, oh, I almost screwed that up. Oh, I totally screwed that
I
up.
mean, you don't go. Because sometimes I do that.
Or we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. You know, like the adrenaline comes and goes. But that was the only time where I was like, this messed up. I'm in trouble. I might have to come in the pits and fix this. And it was no fun. And like I said, it totally ruined my race. Even though it was only, you know, probably 3 or 4 laps that it happened. Yeah, it was a problem.
But once you don't trust the equipment, you don't trust the equipment.
Exactly.
We had a good conversation about that.
And no lie, I've rarely run anything that we haven't built. You know, I
And when
can
you
count-
did, you had a great time, like the TR, which is equals death.
I
Bert.
liked the TR.
Yeah.
But TR and Bert and all of those other things, I never doubted the cage. I never thought I was going to. I thought I was going to crash the TR because the TR was insane.
Right?
For those of you who might not know, it is a TR7 with a Buick 3800 supercharged, and the chassis was at least 2 different TR7s welded together
All of
on
these
three
welding.
different
Yeah.
occasions by
The
drunken
crab-
people.
The wheel
crab
it
walked
crabbed.
down.
It was
No-
terrible.
yeah, none of the wheels pointed the same direction, including
No.
that the back was a live axle. They still
Yep.
didn't point in the same
No.
direction.
And they somehow managed to reduce visibility. They
Yeah.
managed to find a way
Yeah.
to make a TR7.
It was so low you
less.
couldn't
Yeah.
see out of it.
Yeah.
But
all
man, that
of these
thing was
things.
awesome.
Totally fine.
It sounded good.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
Oh,
said,
sure.
I've been at that moment where I'm like, ooh, I might not get this turn done. I might hit that. But I never thought the car was I was going to be injured in a crash. And that was terrible.
My time in the TR in the pouring rain, I was absolutely certain. I thought,
Oh.
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the inside of an ambulance. This will be fun.
I just came up with 2 things on the tail of Jeff's stories.
Go
of
ahead.
two
Go ahead. You're
other
up.
civic issues that we had that are actually your fault. So yes, one of them was the time we were trying to win and you ran out of gas because I told you to keep going around,
yes. Oh,
and
that's
then
terrible.
you didn't turn the car off and sat in the paddock
Oh,
and
yeah.
then burnt the fuel pump up.
Totally
So we're
my fault.
talking right. No, we're talking about things that were bad times on track that made us lose. And we didn't tell you to turn the pump off, but this is for all y'all out there that think you're running out of gas. Make sure you turn the car off or turn the fuel pump or however you do it. It was a lessons learned. I would like to think that if this ever happens to me, I will remember and I will not be that guy. You were that guy.
I was that guy. But it's funny. I didn't even think of that as a bad time on the track
Okay.
because my
That's
shift
fine.
was great until I ran
Sure.
out of gas.
Sure. But I'm thinking of things of these didn't end well. Go ahead, Mental.
You reminded me of another incident when we lost the fuel injector Sunday morning at Thompson, and we were doing really, really well. And we just gotten the car sorted, and it stopped eating axles, and you just literally green flag goes out. I downshift, check engine light, no power. I bring it back in, and it was the thing that never happened, and it didn't bother me. It really didn't. I was, hopefully am I happy of, I'm here racing with my friends. But I looked at Chris and I felt like I had accidentally just kicked your dog. You're like, no, this was supposed to be the engine that works. This is supposed to be the simple solution. And it was a fuel injector, which, Honda fuel injectors never go bad until the one goes bad. And it was just, I think we started in third that Sunday. Because I remember being behind Patless Matt and Betty, and was actually really looking forward to what was going to be a great shift. And I was kind of chuckling. I'm like, it happens. And you just look so deflated. And I felt like I had done something wrong.
I had struggled quite a bit getting that car running the first time, if you recall, to the point of having to miss the first race. And that was tough. So yeah, but since then that engine's been great. So yeah.
I see. It's funny because I remember when that happened, and I remember being like, okay, this is part of the normal process. Like there is a process of making a car work when you do stuff like this.
This was after taking the wire in the tire and the 2-minute shit tire change, and bam, back up out there, back in the threat position. Boom, 3-pedal mafia. Yeah.
All right,
was oh, go ahead.
I still have another Thompson story.
Fucking
Jeff's problem.
Thompson, man. Damn it.
Right. Well, that's our go-to. That's been our gem, right? Our time we're going to go for the win. And so Jeff is driving and looking out the hood and says, "There's wires coming out of the hood. Stay out." Chris says, "Stay out."
Totally.
Jeff
Just so you know, there is mesh over this hole in the hood, so nothing.
But there's wires coming out of the hood. Stay out.
I said they're not our wires. You just drove through debris. They're not ours. Do not pit.
I'm coming in. Do not pit. I'm coming in. Comes in. Chris jumps over the wall, pulls him out, drive away.
I was really tempted to throw them at him, but I
You
didn't
should.
want
Oh
to
no, he
fire.
wore them on his head later.
Oh, that was later in the
did.
night. Yes, later in the night.
Yes. So another lesson learned. Occasionally, if you have, first of all, have radios. Second of all, hopefully you can find somebody that's going to be listening to a radio. Not sure everybody does that. We're pretty good about it. When somebody's on the other side of the radio and they're actually giving you the answer, then you just do that. Okay.
But if you don't trust the machine, you don't. And he didn't want to be the guy that broke the car after being the guy that broke the car.
We also were competing for nothing at that point. We were not in any kind of lead.
I think that was the start of Saturday. It was a start of a race because
either way, we were doing okay.
We were not.
There was no
we
reason
not
to come
1,
in.
2, or 3.
It was more of just don't, like, if somebody tells you don't do something, just don't do it because you say so. Okay. Especially when it's the car owner and the guy who knows stuff.
It was funny.
It was funny. And
you owned it by taping it to your head later.
Sure.
This isn't even from our car.
No, you don't know where it came from because Jeff. Right. Okay.
Yep,
so these are my 2 stories that had lessons learned, and hopefully everybody can listen to it. But my third thing, and then I'll be done, is the Civic overall and it letting us down. It's slow demise of this car is awesome. This car is struggling a little. It's doing weird things. I can't figure out what's going on. So I think that going from epic and on fire and awesome and just being trustworthy to to its demise, and not even thinking about the wheel hit. It's just the not breaking straight.
The chassis was going.
Chassis just going is one of those things where I think that is just an unfortunate feeling I have about how the Civic went down.
That's why we have a new one.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
I don't believe I'd forgotten about the wheel hit. I can't believe I forgot about the damn wheel hit.
I mean, I didn't. I guess I'm gonna bring it up, you know.
No,
and
that just happened,
honestly,
but
I think the reason I forgot about the wheel hit was because those guys made us that model and they felt so bad. And that
model's great. It's on the mantle. Here,
it is.
Love
and,
it.
And the detail that they put into it because we'd missed the side skirt and they got the side skirt.
Yeah.
So I actually, that whole memory became a happy memory for me because of that model.
It needed to happen. It just that accelerated it slightly.
It did.
Okay, fine. All right, I've got one. This is when we were out at Button Willow recently, and I was out in the 944 early on. It was hot. It was no airflow. The air was not clean, and that 944 has no airflow through it. My cool shirt wasn't working, and I was getting. I overheated. I absolutely overheated, and I was trying to fight it off. Like I'm going down the straight and putting my hand out the window to try to put air in myself. Like I'm trying to loosen my zipper, my fire suit down just to cool off. I was definitely overheating. I was trying to fight it. And then I made a mistake. Like I slipped up in a corner, but I didn't go off. I didn't do anything wrong, but I said, I'm losing it. I've got to stop. And I was trying to last out my shift, but it was hot, no airflow. I couldn't do it. So came in, and we weren't trying to win anything in that car in that weekend. So like, whatever, it's not worth risking balling up somebody else's car for nothing. So came in, had some water, cooled down, put someone else in, and it was fine later on. Once we got, we got the cool shirt working, I think, and got the airflow going, and that worked much better. But that first shift, I almost lost it because I was just too hot. Like when I got out of the car, I looked bad. I felt bad. It was
yeah,
bad.
you were like a color that you don't usually turn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't never like that story.
This color.
I remember that weekend too. Yeah. I was like, yeah, what happened to Chris? Yeah. And
well, he came in, I started giving him crap. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you? And he's just like dead.
Pale green.
Okay. All right. Well,
the lesson learned. The lesson learned there is if you're starting to feel bad, it's probably not going to get better. And by the time
right.
you have felt it, it's probably already too late because your adrenaline's been hiding it for a while. So if you're still really feeling bad, bring it in. Don't risk it. Yeah.
You're speaking right to DJ 914.
It's true.
Yep.
Eat house.
Yep.
Because also no one wants to clean your puke out of the car.
No. And you
Poor
don't want to.
Bruce. I mean, Bruce just pukes and then keeps going.
Yeah, you
He only
know.
pukes a
so-
little. He needs a little trough, like one of those bibs that the kids have with the
I
little trough.
completely
The
agree.
bib with the
Yeah.
little flappy.
That's
thing that holds
exactly
it
what
in.
I think.
I think that'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. I have never. I have never gotten to the point where I thought I would puke, but I've gotten the moment of breathe, recenter, breathe, recenter.
I think
And
there's
I've
at least
been
one time.
really hot, but I've never thought that it was bothering me. But I bet now I would be more in tune to it.
Mhm.
I always feel it after.
AER and JMP. Didn't you fall down that weekend?
I don't think so. Fall down?
That's
Yes.
always in his New Year's resolution. Don't fall down.
I meant like slide down the wall appropriately. There's a
Oh, well.
time.
No, no. That was in the TR7 at New Hampshire.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when you
Like,
got
yeah.
out.
against the thing
Yep.
and, like, but that hit me after. Like I was fine. I felt fine in the car. But Chris is right. It was probably the adrenaline that was hiding it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not often. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, and it's between heat, hydration, all those things go together. But the point is, if you're feeling bad, stop.
Yeah.
unless you're winning, then just keep going.
You're winning, get on the radio and get a fresh driver in there, because you're not going to win if you wad the car up.
No,
Yeah.
I agree, but I know the Toms, because we keep coming back to Thompson. I've done the ones when I've done 345 and it's 97 degrees outside. I know I came in at least once and fell down because it was that hot, even with cool, no matter what, just because everything. And that car and the Honda used to be so hot inside.
It was
So
a
you-
sensory assault in every
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
But
and
the-
but it was also just a fire oven anyway.
Yeah.
the Honda was nothing compared to the TR.
Sure.
The TR was insane. Still is.
Yeah.
I mean, the car still exists. We just don't run it anymore.
I
And
think
the
it's in a
Wartburg
yard
was the original
somewhere.
convection oven.
Oh,
Oh,
I can't even compare with the Wartburg.
You were so busy in the Wartburg, you were so busy questioning everything. It's like, is it actually steering right now? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Had
all
that
right.
dual axis steering that would come in and out. DOS.
I remember sliding the
Us.
rear end, going, "You're gonna grip, right? You're gonna grip." Oh, it gripped. Good. We're
well,
good.
the
We can go
wheels on the
now.
back of that car were like
so wide.
That's why.
huge.
That's why I
Uh-huh.
said we
sure
had
you-
to put those giant wheels on the back to catch it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Who's next? Mental. I think it's your turn.
So the only time I actually ever drove the Ombre, I was out of the country when the boat was retired, and then the Ombre came about, and it was at New Jersey, and I drove the Ombre. And it's not anything that I did bad, but I'm trying to polish this turd, but basically I was convinced I was better than the Ombre, and I got into the Ombre and I drove it, but I was being a dick. And I just came away feeling really terrible for just how
Like you were over driving or just not being courteous on this. on
no,
the-
I
the
was
other
fine on
drivers?
the track. That's how I was to you guys.
You're just bougie about this pickup truck.
Bougie about that.
Ah,
Bougie about that
okay.
is. That's it's actually still polishing the turd. I was just being a dick. And I think part of it is I love the boat. I always just loved the boat. The Ombre,
Well, we
the
all
Ombre, the Ombre wasn't mechanically it was the boat, but it wasn't the boat. And then I was just, I was feeling like an asshole, and just wasn't being a good teammate, and wasn't being a part, was not there to make things better, which is I try to have that as one of my mantras, and hated the way I felt when I left. Hated the way I felt like for like about a week after that. So yeah, it was just a failure to recognize the blessings in the team that I had and the opportunity. I was on a racetrack in a race car. the last time we were just down at CMP, I was the judge down there, and Kevin Madsen, who races Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and he coaches all over the world, and he drives in South America, and he does like testing. He was part of the development team for the Cadillac CTS Blackwing. As he landed in Atlanta, invested a bunch of money to travel from California, and landed in Atlanta, got a text from the Lemons team, hey, the engine let go, we're putting in the spare. As he's driving to CMP, turns out the spare motor is seized, we're not going to make it. And so he has invested time and money, and this is how he pays his rent, is racing and developing cars. And so he still just comes down to the track and, what the heck with it. And Tim Bagnall, who we'll talk about in a Lemons World video, because the guy's incredible, had been watching YouTube videos for years and decided, the heck with this, I'm getting involved in Lemons. And he bought the old Duff Beer Volvo 850, the perennial Class C automatic Volvo. And, this is a human being that has affected the performance automotive landscape. He is in an automatic Volvo in Camden, South Carolina, laughing his ass off, having fun, being a good teammate. And if you can go to those extremes and still just get out of it with, oh man, this is so much fun, then you're doing it right. And the only time I ever drove the Ombre, didn't do it right, should have been a better teammate. Still bothers me.
I think
the Ombre continues to go on with new people and new teams.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to tell an Ombre story too, when I felt like the dick on the track.
Please.
And it's when we didn't own it. When we had sold it to Bill, and I was guest driving it because I think we had a broken car. And I was supposed to be the expert on the car because I was the mechanic for it, while it was on the track, while Chris wrenches on the Civic. And we had a fuel leak, and I let it leak twice, and I got us banned. And I got literally Saturday, 2 hours into the race, that car was parked for the entire race because I didn't do it right. And
I forgot about that one.
I felt like I had let the entire team down because there were people there to run that car, and they drug it all the way to New Hampshire from Pennsylvania. And I said, oh, I'm sure it's not that leak that I created by doing that modification. Let's just put the cap on tighter and send it out again. And we must have overfilled it. And that was hubris on hubris on hubris. And it's my fault. And I still owe Bill a race for that.
If it helps, your tale of woe has saved many a team, because it's always, guys, you got a fuel leak. You're going to go over there and you're going to try and replace the cap. It's never the cap.
It's never the cap. They said that to me too. That's not a new line.
It's never the cap.
There was a Camaro at Sonoma 2 years ago. They brought it from the East Coast out there, and they just got this thing past tech like Saturday afternoon, and then they get bumped for a fuel leak, and gave them the entire story of it's never the cap. And so they kind of looked at each other, listened to it, went over there and started pulling all the vacuum lines, and literally just blowing on the vacuum lines, and one of them, and nothing came out. So then they put a compressor on it, and they blew 7 years of pine needles and pine tar out of it. And they're like, it's never the cap.
Yeah.
And they got to finish their weekend. So
yeah. Never the cap.
Chrissy, do you have another story? It looks like you used your notes, but I just wanted to offer before.
I don't know.
Okay. I think then it's Chris's turn. You got one more?
I got one more. The Saturday at Thompson, when the weekend we won, the Saturday afternoon shift when I was getting blocked by the 350Z all day was so frustrating. Just so frustrating. The car was running well. We were going fast. Everything was, we were not making any mistakes. But just having something like that, having someone actively all day, all short 2 hours, basically, purposely get in your way was just brutally frustrating. And you're trying to do everything you can to do it right and stay clean, but they don't really care about being clean. So they're the ones, they're going to pull the Max Verstappen moves of, I'm going to dive into this corner. You have to not hit me. for
Mhm.
2 hours.
And other people around track.
And
Yeah.
when you did get by them, they just slowed down and waited for you to catch up.
Yeah.
Yep.
For 2 hours, 3
Mhm.
hours. It was so frustrating.
Mhm.
And that made that win so much sweeter.
I just came across our ugly cry or my ugly cry.
Yeah. But
you won't let me
that-
put that on
yeah.
a t-shirt.
But that
No.
shift was
What?
just that shift was so brutal for that reason. When it's like you're doing everything possible, and because someone else is being a jerk, like that's ruining your day.
It's funny. I had it was earlier in the day. I had the kind of the exact opposite reaction to that.
Well,
Yeah.
Sunday you had a great time in the morning shift with them, but it was Saturday and at the end of the day because I was leading and they were in second, and that's the and then I ran out, caused it to run out of fuel, blah blah blah. Anyway,
Oh, you're
It was
talking about
brutally
Saturday.
frustrating.
You're not talking about Sunday.
no, I'm talking about Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Sunday was when when the entire paddock knew that they were blocking you.
Yeah, so this was
And-
Saturday when it was bad, and but it was just the whole shift, and it's just so brutal to have that kind of thing happening. There's nothing you can do about it. Like because otherwise, like if we didn't care as much, sure, you rub in a little bit, just like cut it out. But-
We're lucky we didn't
Yeah.
have the ombre that weekend because I would have pushed him the hell off the track.
Oh,
Well,
We wouldn't have. You
Well,
would
I
have
know.
you would have
I
made their life a little difficult
I
though.
know.
that was
I
the
know.
joy of that weekend is we all reached that frustration point at a different time where we would say something that we knew was beneath us as just racers, and the other three would go, no, we're not. And then, okay, yeah, no, we're not. And then, a couple hours later, another one of us, who's got a spare car? I'm going to go out there. No, we're okay.
No,
No,
we
we're
wouldn't.
not.
But I would have blocked for you. I would have got in front of you and blocked.
But yeah,
But that's why, and we're just going to say this really quickly, and then we'll go back to it. That's why this was so dirty pool and so not because doing multi-call strategies and blocking for the car that's winning just causes other people to do the same thing, and that is a slippery slope. And that's why you
Mhm.
don't
Well-
do it anywhere.
And
Mhm.
ultimately it was a failing strategy because at the time, the two cars that were in the lead were so far ahead. This allowed the third and fourth place cars to suddenly come up, and when you were just dealing with one competitor, now you've slowed the whole pack down, and now you've got three, and they're all challenging you for the win now. And it was a flawed strategy. I don't want to be that person that keeps fussing about that though. Like 4 years after the fact, but,
I'm sure we are.
I was just it was we're talking about bad
No,
we're
shifts-
talking about
shifts on
bad
track.
shifts.
No,
No,
that
yeah.
Bad
and
shift.
your point. We shouldn't, go. But yes, your point. It's valid. It is a yeah.
Metzel, do you have a story, or can I offer a palate cleanser?
Go. You do you, brah.
I just received a text. Oh, you're never going to read it.
Nope.
Summit Racing says your package with UPS will be delivered soon, coming to 300 your place.
Do you have the
My-
right
my
address
house.
this time?
It's coming to my house. Yeah.
Okay.
it's
I
coming
was
to
like,
your
Thank you.
house.
not
It
Jeff's
is-
old house.
No.
Nope.
No, that was not
Nope.
me. That was not me. So yes, your my Summit Racing package will arrive at your door very soon for this weekend's festivities.
Great.
Great.
Yeah. This is part of go listen to our How to Make a Work Weekend Successful show. And one part of it is get all the parts you need ahead of time so you can actually do the work. This is part of that.
I'm genuinely bummed I can't be there. I'm going to be Class B bachelor starting Saturday.
Oh, Jeff, by the way, I put a link to the wheel that we need. I found a place that has it at a very reasonable price.
Oh, good.
Shipped. I
We'll
put that
order
in
that
the RX7 notes.
Car
Doc.
wheel or steering wheel?
I'm sorry.
Car
We're
wheel.
having a show here. What
Yes,
is
This is
how?
part of that.
Ugh,
It's good.
no,
All right.
No, it's not.
Any more stories? Let's wrap this one up.
For
Anybody
the
got
after
any,
meeting.
Thank you,
anything
Chrissy.
to finish?
You're welcome. People are like, I don't care to listen to about your
Is he
24
fucking
minutes.
eating?